All right, so yesterday we left off with this was the parent function was the square root of x, right? And then we talked about, did we move it horizontally? And we said no. There was no horizontal shift, but we did move it what? Up 1. So it was an up, and I wrote +1. There wasn't a reflection over the axis, so that was none. Now, the most important part here is understanding this domain and range, because that's what a lot of 3.7 is on, just domain and range. What I want you guys to focus on is when we're in this graph, notice that point right there, that line, my graph doesn't exist to the left of that, does it? It stops right there. So that number right there for my domain is my x values, right? Need to be greater than or equal to what? 0, right? Because it was a solid circle. Okay, now my range. Well, let's look at the range. The range is my y values. Notice my y's don't go below that value. Correct? Doesn't go below that value, right, Jay? So what number is that? Not 0. 0 is right here. That number. 1. So my y's need to be greater than or equal to 1. Is it a function? Does it pass the vertical line test? And this is what you guys were missing yesterday. Okay, you take your pen and you hold it vertically on your graph and you drag it across. And do you see how my graph only touches my pen one time? Yeah. That means it's a function. It passes the vertical line test. The vertical line test? Not at all. All right, well, I'll show you on the next one. So the equation of this, okay, is this. It's simply f of x equals the square root of x plus 1. That plus 1 outside of the square root is telling me that I'm making it a vertical shift instead of the shift left or right. Okay? Now, Hansi, I'm going to do my best to explain this vertical line test, okay? All right. First off, Hansi, I need you to open up to 3.7 at the start and tell me what parent function does this U shape look like? You know what I'm talking about, Hansi? No. See these? Which one does that one up there look like? That one. Is that squaring function? The square function. Very good, Hansi. So my parent function is f of x equals x squared. Ready, Hansi? You're going to do this whole thing with me. All right. Now, this is what the parent function looks like. Okay? Do you see this right here? That's what it looks like. This is what I did to it. I did something to it. What did I do? What did I do to this to get to that? Went up, right? Now the first question asked me, what? Did I shift it left or right? And I didn't, right? It's not moved left or right. So we're going to write none. The next one says, we shifted it, right? And you said shifted it up. Now my question is, how many did I move it up? I can't really tell. All right. Like 2.5. You think I would give me 2.5? I can't look. So that's 2. So what's the box above 2? 3. There's no box there. It's in the middle of Hansi. So Hansi says we shifted it up 3. Right? Make sense to you, Jake?
So it would be
Jake, where are your notes?
No. I'm writing it on here, but that's very cool. So it goes up 3, right?
Yes, we shifted the whole graph up 3.
Oh.
So basically took this graph and just went whoop, up 3.
I thought it would be going up just 1.
Nope, went up 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Now, what does this third box say, Hansi? Okay. Did I reflect it, meaning did I flip it down? Did not, so it's a none. Now the next one says domain, right? Notice here, my graph doesn't stop anywhere, right? Like this one stops. Notice it stops right here. I go to, and then I stop right there. I don't go any further. Stops. That means there would be something going on right there. It would say that x needs to be greater than 0. But this one, notice I have positive values and negative values. So my domain is all reals. Ready for this one, Hansi? Would you agree that my graph stops right there? It doesn't go below that, right? That means my y value must be greater than that, because my graph does not go below that. What number is that, Hansi?
3.
So y needs to be greater than or equal to 3. Now here it is. Ready, Hansi? Vertical line test. Ready? Take a ruler. Hansi, just watch. Take a ruler. And I'm going to move my ruler across. Now see how it's a vertical line? Do you see how my graph only touches it at one point? Look at the U. See how it only touches it at one point?
No.
Hansi.
Do it the sign. I was like, you want me to add time? I don't point it. Yeah,
Right.
I think that-
See this? See how I put a vertical line right there? See how it touches the circle twice? See how it touches the ruler twice?
Yeah, I thought it was more.
Nope. Very basic. Good? Makes sense now? So this is a function. Now, how do I get that? Well, I take my parent function, which was f of x, equals x squared. And the only thing I did to it was add 3. I just shifted the whole thing up 3. That's it. All right, this guy. The last one on the top row. F of x equals, this is the square root function again. So let me put that back in. Now, with this one, I'm going to try and move a little bit quicker to get through some of this stuff. So, Leah, would you agree that the main difference between these two is I just flipped it? Okay. So it doesn't look like I shifted it left or right. Agreed? So this is no shift there. And it doesn't look like I shifted it up or down any. It just looks like I just simply took this and went like that. What's
How
up?
do you know what the parent function is?
See the start at 3.7? Look at the start at
Wait,
3.7.
How do you remember that?
Those are the 6 you have to know. Like you just have to know what they look like. Okay? It's just like we do it so many times, like x squared is a u. So whenever I see a u, I'm thinking it's an x squared. Absolute value comes to a v. So whenever I see a v, I'm thinking absolute value. Whenever it's like a line like this, Hannah, it's like y equals mx plus b. Make sense? If it's horizontal, it's y equals a constant. If it's like this, that's square root function. And if it's that like S shape that we were talking about yesterday, that's a cubic. So here, Hannah, I did shifted up or down, so there's no shift there. But now here, notice it's inverted, right? It's flipped over which axis? Over the x-axis, right? It's over the x-axis. So when I'm looking at my function, okay, my domain is x needs to be greater than or equal to 0 because it stops right there. Look, on the x-axis, right? It can be anything that way. On the y-axis, it can be anything less than 0. So y is less than or equal to 0. Is it a function, Hansi? See, I'm dragging my pen across it. Yes, it's a function. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky. Okay? Now I got to put a negative somewhere, right? Right? Because that's how to invert it. Okay? In those like yellow boxes, it kind of told you what to do. So here, watch what happens. You can kind of do it guess and check, or you can remember the rules. Anything you do outside of the x is going to be like a shift up or down, or it's going to invert it. Anything inside directly to the x is going to like shift it like left or right. So if I put the negative sign in here with the x, watch what it does. See how it opened it up the other way? Whenever you do it to the x, it's going to move things like left or right. So here, we know that's not where the negative goes. It actually goes outside. See how that flips it down? See how it's outside away from that? So my parent function would be f of x, or not my parent function, my actual function is negative square root of x. All right, so Hannah, you're asking like, remember you said, how do I know? See how that's the V? I know that's absolute value. So I don't have to look at my list. I've done it for so long, but those are like, those 6 that I showed you are just like, you just need to know them. You don't have to know exactly what they are, just know the shape. See how it's a V? Remember absolute value, the V in value. Okay? And then quadratic, okay, it's the U. So here, I need to put in the absolute value. So it's under math, num, ABS, and X. I want to see what happens. So here, notice, ready, Justin? Do you see how I totally shifted it up, right? It looks probably about the same width, right? Not messing around too much here. Okay? Like this point here, if I go up one to the right one, I'm like 1 block away, up one to the right one, 1 block away. See here, up one to the right, 1 block, 1 block. So I'm kind of feeling like it's the same width. So the parent function is f of x equals the absolute value of x. Did I shift it horizontally? No. None. Totally shifted it up, right, Justin?
Yes.
How many blocks?
3.
Is it reflected? No. They're both still opening up. Domain. Okay, notice I can plug in any value of x. See how it goes like across the entire thing? So that's all reals. My range doesn't go below that, does it?
So y is greater than or equal to 3.
Yeah. Okay. And then the more we do this, the more I'm going to get away from y. I don't like y as much. Okay. Does that make sense to you? See how I'm starting to phase out y? F of x. You see that?
So
Those two.
what would I say?
F of x is greater than or equal to 3. Okay.
So we call fx not y anymore?
I'm going to start moving that way. You guys can use whichever one now,
Only for
But, like,
right?
but I'm starting to like phase in the new terminology. I don't want to do it all at once.
only for functions or for like mx plus b too?
All of it. Whenever I can use f of x, I'm going to start using f
So
of
that's
x.
basically the new y.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can use either. I don't want you to feel like you can't. Function, yes, the function. Let's just write function. And what is this? It's f of x equals the absolute value of x plus 3.
How do you know if it goes on the outside or the inside?
Great question. Outside, anything you do directly to the x. See how inside these things, that would be directly to the x. Inside those bars, it's going to shift it left or right. Outside those bars, up or down. Inside the square root symbol, left or right. Outside the square root symbol, up or down. The squaring, right? Imagine parentheses and then the square outside. Inside those parentheses for the square, left or right. Outside, up or down. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. This guy. This is y equals mx plus b, right? Agreed?
Yeah.
We just say it's a little less fancier, just f of x equals x. Okay? I come here. All right, there's my line. Okay, did I shift it horizontally? I mean, that's a tough one, right? Like you could make the argument I shifted it this way, right? Or I shifted it up. Let's just stick with one of them. Which one did we want to do?
Go up.
Thanks, Jake. So there is no horizontal shift. Let's see if we can make that look like this. There is none. Can we shift it up? Jake, how many did I move it up? 1,
4.
2,
Wait, 3.
3. Over the x or y axis, now it's still going in the same direction. Domain, that's all reals. Range, that's all reals. Okay?
Wait, how do you find domain and range in this?
Domain is, are there x values you can plug in?
Oh, so you can fucking out x values.
Yeah.
Fucking out y values.
Yeah. So I can plug in any x values because notice, like, there's no gaps in this. Like, it continuously goes.
Yeah.
And then y it continuously goes.
Yeah.
Does it pass the vertical line test? The answer is yeah, it's a function. What is the equation? F of x equals x plus 3. So if I add 3 here, don't they look very similar now? See how they look very similar? There you go. This guy, what's the parent function? Just f of x equals a constant. Let's just say 0, right? Or 1. What do you want, Jay? Doesn't really matter. 1. Right? It's just f of x equals a constant. Glad you chose something other than 0.
But you can't put there.
No variables in this one. See? Right? Now, did I shift it horizontally?
No.
No. Vertically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Up how many?
Infinity.
Where is that?
Which one is that?
7, right? I shifted it up 7. Okay? Jay just picked 1 so that we could see the line. It would typically be at 0. But if I graphed it, you wouldn't be able to see it. So we just took this and moved it up 7 units. Okay? Is it reflected? No. What is my domain?
Oh,
All reals. Range. Range is tricky, right? That's the only thing in my range. Agreed? It doesn't go to any other y value but that. My range is just 7. Is it a function?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is my equation of this function? F of x equals 7, or y equals 7. All right, last but not least, my favorite one.
F of x equals x cubed.
Thank you, Hansi. F of x equals x cubed. Now, did I shift it horizontally?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at it. Yeah, I did. How much did I shift it horizontally?
2 units
2 units. Which direction, Hansi?
to the right.
Right. 2 units, right? Now, this is going to be interesting. So I'm just writing right 2. Like before we were writing up 3, right? Down 1. Did I shift it vertically any?
No.
No. Is it reflected?
Yeah.
Now it's still, Hansi, look at it. It's still going in the same direction, right? Down and then up. Down and then up, right? So there is none. What's my range? All reals, right? I can put in any value for x. What is my range? All reals. Is it a function? Hansi's gotten good at this.
It is a
It is. Now here's the thing. Let's try and figure this one out. Well, we shifted it right too. Ready for this? This is me playing around, showing you. All right, let's do the right 2 shift. I put the +2 right there. Ready, Justin? See where I'm putting it? Well, look what happened when it was there. It shifted it up, right? So this is one of those.
You have to put it in the bar.
I have to put it inside. But inside what? Well, there's a set of parentheses that go around the x, right? So let's put x plus 2 in there because we shifted it to the right, Jay, right? So x plus 2 cubed. Now let's graph it. Oh, you see how it goes the opposite the way you're thinking? It was shifted to the right, and right's associated with positive, correct? But when I put that +2 in there, what did it do? It actually shifted it left. So it's the opposite.
Why do they do this? Why do they make it?
It's
Not a negative shift?
so it should be a -2. See how it's the opposite of what you think? Now, Hannah, it's not because like somebody made it that way. Basically what it is this. You're taking all of the points and adding 2 to it. All of the x values, you added 2 to it. So then like -2 is really behaving like 0 because -2 plus 2 is 0. That's why it's shifting that way.